The Jehovah's Witnesses have just released a new Caleb and Sophia cartoon that is directed at children to try and get them to throw their entire lives away to do free work for the organization, and they're doing it under the pretense of having a great adventure. So, let's talk about it. Hello and welcome back to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally, and today we have to talk about a new Caleb and Sophia cartoon because it has to do with pioneering. So let's jump right into it.
And we have one more announcement. Sister Lydia Diaz is now serving as a regular pioneer. We're so happy for you. We know you'll have many spiritual adventures ahead of you. Adventures ahead of you.
When you hear the phrase spiritual adventure, really messed that one up. When you hear the word spiritual adventure, you might be thinking of someone changing the chemicals in their brain with some psilocybin to have a conversation with glowy action figures that exist only in their mind. But no, that is not the Jehovah's Witness version of a spiritual adventure. Their spiritual adventures look more like this. As I was editing this, I noticed a little bit of a continuity error. See, the lady that looks like she's about to show interest, and then you get the quick zoom in of someone actually taking the magazine, the outfits of the person handing the magazine over and the person accepting the literature don't quite match. And I think this is Watchtower trying to edit in the idea that people are actually interested in their witnessing carts. It's my little conspiracy that most of the time whenever they show people reading scriptures or taking magazines, that it's just a Jehovah's Witness prop that's there. They're just trying to pretend and try and get it on camera. And I think as evidence of that is we see later on in this video, it's about 6 minutes long, so it's about 3 minutes after this, we see the proper hands and the proper skirt, but this time instead of the lady handing him the magazine, he's actually going up to the cart and grabbing it himself. Now I'm no genius here, but I would suspect that if someone was going to grab something out of the witnessing cart, I don't think that they'd be like, hey, could you come back real quick just so we can get a secondary shot of me handing it to you? That would be absolutely insane. So this is 100% a Jehovah's Witness, and anyway, that just made me laugh.
We know you'll have many spiritual adventures ahead of you. Adventures ahead of you.
Now, obviously, the little kids are going to have their own idea about what an adventure is. Now, listen how the father here is going to dissuade him of any notions of grand adventures and give him the brass tacks of the situation.
What?
Hey, Dad. I want to be a pioneer.
That's wonderful, Caleb. What do you think pioneers do? Do you remember when we talked about being a publisher?
Uh-huh.
They preach the good news. But pioneering is a way we can give even more to Jehovah. Pioneers devote their time and energy to help as many people as possible to become Jehovah's friends.
I love to do that.
I know you do.
I find this so fascinating because if you were trying to get a kid interested in pioneering, I feel like talking about missionary stories that would appeal to them, like, oh, we're out in the jungle and there was big snakes and there was lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Like really painting the picture of an actual Lord of the Rings style quest would make more sense. Like, yeah, and that's what you could do if you become a missionary. But to become a missionary, you have to be a pioneer first. So at least there's some excitement to it. But instead, he's taken a completely different tactic where he says, no, it's not an adventure. You're just going to be going out in service. You know, where we knock on people's doors and they tell us to get lost, and we hand people tracts when we're buying avocados and they look at us funny, and we stand next to carts where no one talks to us. Doesn't that sound fun? And he says, I love doing that. Here's the honest truth. No kid enjoys going out in the ministry. It's not fun. It's tedious. It's boring to adults. But to a kid, it's just, there's nothing to do. You're just stuck in a little prison of just walking around. You can't play. Anytime you try and wander off and do any type of exploration, you get immediately corrected by your parents for your lack of decorum. It's not something kids enjoy unless it's going for a coffee break. Then they're like, oh, at least I get a sweet treat. So that's really the only thing that kids enjoy about it. So why is he using the tactic of, let's do this thing that is incredibly boring? And you could be that one day if you work real hard at it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Pioneers also get to go to school. Not that type of school. A special school that they attend with other pioneers, where they dig into the Bible and learn how to become an even better friend of Jehovah. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Continuing on with the worst sales pitch I've ever heard in my life, he adds on, you get to go to school. So now this kid is going to be super excited to become a pioneer one day because he can do his two least favorite things, go to school and go preaching. It's really a fascinating look at the mind of whoever is making these cartoons. And I feel like maybe it's their lack of interactions with actual children in the real world. If you're trying to like get a kid to do something, it's like, hey, do you want to go out for ice cream? Well, hell yeah, I love ice cream. Okay, cool. Well, we got to wash the floors first. And that little kid will get their little broom or the Swiffer out and they'll be like, we got to wash the floors first. We got to wash the floors first. We got to wash. Like, that's just, and because they want the ice cream. Here, it's like, no, we're going to wash the floors. Then we're going to vacuum. And then maybe we'll talk about getting some ice cream. It's just kind of like a backwards, like you got to put the carrot out there if you want the horse to get going. It's not like this hypothetical thing that might happen in the very distant future.
So, pioneers don't go on adventures?
Oh no, they do. Pioneers look for Jehovah's friends all over the earth. And some travel to faraway places. You know, Caleb, keep telling others about Jehovah. And when the time comes, you will be ready to go on the adventure of pioneering.
So pioneers don't actually go on adventures? Yep, son, they actually don't. But sometimes they do. So if you keep working at it, there's a chance you'll win the lottery and you'll be able to do that as well. The vast majority of pioneers don't go on adventures. They do very tedious, repetitive work in their local congregations. And it's brutal. Take it from me, I pioneered for almost 10 years. And it was repetitive, doing the same thing, knocking on the same doors, getting rejected over and over again. And everyone that I knew, hundreds of other people that pioneered, had the same experience. They never actually brought anyone into the congregation. They never actually created another Jehovah's Witness. It's extremely rare. If you pioneer for 20 years, you maybe will bring in one person. And there's no like excitement to that. There's not that many exciting things that can happen in the ordinary life of a Jehovah's Witness pioneer. So he is correct in trying to present it this way. You get to go to school, you get to go preaching a lot. But we'll just put all of that to one side, and I just want to talk a little bit about why. Why are they trying to get kids to pioneer here in 2025? When I grew up as a witness, it was always presented to me that pioneers were these heliacal figures of the metaphoric solar system of the congregation. They're the real, the powerhouse that keeps the thing going. They're the ones doing the preaching work, boots on the ground. And some of the most special privileged people in the congregation. And it was presented as a desirous thing, and you do it for 1 year and you're all like bright-eyed, like, oh, wow, this is exciting. And then you do it for another year, like, okay. And then you do it for another year, like, well, how much longer am I going to keep doing this? And most good Jehovah's Witness kids will pioneer for 2 to 3 years. Usually after that time, they'll get married and life takes over, then they stop. But most Jehovah's Witness kids will at least do 1 year of pioneering. They'll go to pioneer school because you don't want to be seen as that one that did it just to go to pioneer school. You'll do it for an extra year and then you'll end up getting married. That's like the general flow of things. But I can't get my head around why in 2025 that they're still pushing this. The organization is fully aware of how inefficient knocking on people's doors has become. Ordinary Jehovah's Witnesses are intimately aware of how useless the preaching work actually is. And they've seen this pattern of people being told that the end is right around the corner. Don't go to college. You can hold off getting married. You can hold off having children of your own. And instead, you should really focus on pioneering. Well, if you said that in, 1940, which they have, and told kids, hey, put all of these things off, the end is right around the corner. 40 years goes by, now they're in their 50s, telling their kids or grandkids, depending on how fast they procreated, hey, don't go to school, put off your career, everything. End is right around the corner. And didn't happen. Now it's the 2020s. And we're repeating the same exact cycle over again. And to the point where I think a good metric of looking at how the organization knows the inefficiency of this work is they keep bringing down the requirements for being a pioneer. So initially, when it first began, they were called colporteurs, and then it transitioned to pioneers, and that was, I made a little chart. Let me pull that up. Initially, it was in the 1930s that the hour requirement was 150, and then in 1948, it's a little hard to find exact dates on this, but this is the best I could come up with. It was dropped down to 120, and then in 1950, it quickly changed and went down to 100 or 1,200 hours per year, so it wasn't a per month basis, but as long as you did that amount in a whole year, you were good to go. So if you got 120 hours a little bit, you could kind of stack up your time. Then in 1976, it dropped down to 90 hours per month or 1,000 hours a year because they can't do math. So whatever. And then 1999 came and it was 70 hours per month. And then in 2023, it was 50 hours per month. So back in the 1930s, when this whole, the end is right around the corner, put your life on hold, become a full-time minister, spend 150 hours, and then you go forward to 2023, and now it's only 50 hours. How are you going to make the sales pitch that this is not seen by the organization as less important that less time is really needing to be spent on this. I know they make the arguments, and there are some valid ones, of it was easier to make a living back then, it's harder to make a living now. But to a certain extent, I wonder if that's the entire story. Is it? Obviously, that will play a factor in it. But another factor has to be them fully realizing just people wouldn't keep doing this at that rapid rate. Even if they were in a situation where they could survive on one income and the wife could pioneer and they not have kids, even in that situation where the time difference wouldn't really matter and the pioneering was maybe designed for someone, because it's called full-time ministry, to not really be working, now that's only 50 hours. So even in situations where someone could be devoting more time, the Watchtower is in full understanding that it's just not really necessary. But you need to keep the name. You have to keep the label. You have to keep the status. Because for Jehovah's Witnesses, the actual thing never really matters. It's all about how it's seen and how it's viewed by other people. Like the actual thing in your heart where you're saying, oh, I desperately just want to help other people learn about Jehovah. None of that really matters. It just depends on whether or not, or the most important thing is, do you have the label and status as pioneer? Because that makes you a spiritual person. And if you have that status, you're good to go. So if they lower the standard for obtaining that status, it gives people the ooey gooey gushy feeling, because it has nothing to do with actually wanting to go out there. I mean, some people do actually want to, but for the majority of pioneers out there, they are doing it for the status of being a regular pioneer. Oh, well, I'm an elder, my wife's a pioneer. It's like the picture perfect Jehovah's Witness family. It is the elder dad and the mom pioneer. Maybe she has kids, maybe they don't. But anyway, I just think it's really silly to be pushing this on kids. They've been pushing it on them for so long, and clearly they know that it doesn't really work, and clearly they just want to make it easier and easier for people to be able to have that status, that they should just give it up already. I mean, why do you need some 18-year-old kid to go stand next to a cart instead of doing anything else with his life? So for that, it's really just despicable, and it annoys me to no end when they put this propaganda out there. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. If you're still around, don't forget to drop a like. It helps it get out to more people on YouTube. With all that, stay safe, be kind, and don't forget to spend more time loving the things you love than hating the things you hate. And you better have a good ass day.